ever feel like you're, like, battling your own mind? Ugh, like those negative thoughts just keep coming back no matter how hard you try to shut them down.
Yeah.
Well, today's deep dive is all about kind of flipping the script on that inner struggle.
Okay.
We're diving into Evan Moulton's approach to spiritual liberation.
Right.
And get this, it's all about treating your thoughts with love, not war.
It's a pretty radical idea, right? I mean, most of us have been conditioned to think we need to analyze or, fix, conquer our negative thoughts.
For sure.
But Moulton suggests a more compassionate approach.
Okay, so before we unpack that, can you give us the why behind all of this? Like, what's the big deal about soothing the mind? And why does Moulton see it as the foundation for inner peace?
So Moulton believes that directly confronting a troubled mind is, it's like trying to reason with a toddler in the middle of a meltdown.
Okay, I can see where this is going. You wouldn't try to have a calm conversation about sharing while they're screaming for a toy, right? You'd address those big feelings first.
Exactly. And that's where the soothing comes in. It's about creating a sense of safety and love before you even try to address the perceived need behind the upset.
Okay.
Whether it's, a child demanding a toy or our own minds, like fixated on a worry.
So are you saying our thoughts are like these demanding toddlers? Should I break out the crayons and juice boxes?
Oh, maybe not literally. But Moulton's point is that we often take our thoughts way, way too seriously. Just like that toddler doesn't actually need that specific toy, our thoughts are often masking a deeper need.
Okay.
Moulton believes we need to kind of see through those surface-level demands to get to the heart of what our minds are really yearning for.
So if we're not supposed to take our thoughts literally, then how do we figure out what's underneath them? How do we even begin to deal with them, especially the ones that really drag us down?
That's where Moulton's process of letting go through love comes in. And honestly, it might sound a bit strange at first. Instead of arguing with your thoughts, analyzing them, or trying to replace them with, positive affirmations, he suggests something much simpler. Acceptance.
Acceptance. It sounds so easy when you say it like that.
Yeah.
But in reality, like, accepting those nagging negative thoughts, that feels like a whole different ballgame.
It definitely takes practice, yeah. But Moulton believes it's about approaching each thought, even the ones we really don't like, with compassion. It's about shifting from a stance of judgment to a stance of curiosity.
Okay, so let's say I'm replaying that awkward encounter I had at the grocery store this morning in my head.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to befriend that thought? Send it a fruit basket.
You don't have to befriend it. It's more about simply acknowledging it without judgment.
Got it.
Moulton's approach is about letting go. Imagine, like, setting those thoughts free so they can return to their natural state, which he believes is one of bliss.
Blissful thoughts. Okay, I like where this is going. But how do you actually set them free? How do you actually do that?
Moulton says he goes through this process one thought at a time.
Yeah.
And he uses specific language to help him release each one. He'll say things like, "You're free to be yourself, whatever you are. I have no shoulds for you, no shouldn'ts." It's essentially communicating acceptance and non-attachment to the thought itself.
I have no shoulds for you.
Wow.
It's like giving the thought permission to just exist.
Exactly. And in that space of permission and acceptance, Moulton says you can start to feel love for the thought. Not because you like it or agree with it, but because you're recognizing its true nature.
Okay, I have to admit, this is where it starts to feel a little abstract. What does it actually mean to love a thought? I mean, some of these thoughts feel like downright unlovable.
Moulton describes it as recognizing that the thought itself is just energy. It's not inherently good or bad, it just is.
Right.
And by approaching it with love, you're essentially releasing all the judgments and assumptions you've projected onto it. You're seeing it for what it is, a temporary blip of energy, not the enemy.
So it's like you're saying, hey, thought, I see you. And it's okay that you're here. You're not a monster, just a little energy wave passing through.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, it's about creating space for the thought to exist without feeling threatened by it.
Yeah.
Or feeling the need to control it.
This is fascinating. But I have to ask, how do you practically apply this in those moments when your mind is like a whirlwind of thoughts?
Right.
It's not like they politely wait their turn for this kind of one-on-one love fest.
Right.
What do you do when you're facing like a whole chorus of thoughts all clamoring for attention?
Moulton has this incredibly powerful analogy for that. He compares all those clamoring thoughts to a room full of orphans.
Yeah.
Each one yearning for love and attention.
Wow.
But they're also afraid, timid, unsure if they can if they can trust you.
Okay, that's an image that really stays with you. So how do you approach a room full of, like, metaphorical orphans, each representing a different thought? Do you try to love them all at once?
Moulton says you can't force it. Just like you can't force a frightened child to trust you. You can't force your thoughts to be free. But if you consistently show up with love and acceptance, if you create that safe space, he believes the thoughts will eventually come to you when they're ready to be released.
It reminds me of that saying, what you resist persists. Like, the more you try to fight or deny those thoughts, the stronger they seem to become.
Right.
But when we meet them with acceptance, it's like we disarm them. They lose their grip.
Exactly. It's like you're shifting from battling your thoughts to befriending them.
Yeah.
And in that shift, something remarkable happens. Moulton talks about how this practice over time allowed him to clear, get this, a lifetime of thoughts.
A lifetime of thoughts. Wow. That sends chills down my spine. What does that even look like?
Hmm.
And is it a one-time thing? Like, do you clear out all those thoughts and then you're done? Poof. Inner peace achieved.
Wouldn't that be nice? But no. Moulton is clear that this isn't about achieving some perfect state of mental emptiness where you never have another negative thought again. That's not realistic.
Right.
And frankly, it doesn't sound very human, does it?
Yeah, not at all.
Right.
It's more about creating space.
Yeah.
Space for what exactly?
Space for more freedom, more love, more presence. It's about shifting your relationship with your thoughts so they no longer have such a tight grip on you. You're not at their mercy anymore.
That's such a powerful way to put it.
Yeah.
And instead of being ruled by our thoughts, we're creating a more peaceful inner environment where those thoughts can come and go without completely throwing us off balance.
Precisely. And what's fascinating is that by offering ourselves this kind of radical acceptance, we're actually changing the way our brains work. There's a growing body of research on neuroplasticity showing that we have the power to rewire our brains through practices like mindfulness and self-compassion.
So the more we practice this kind of loving awareness, the more we're actually cultivating a more peaceful, compassionate inner world.
Right.
And those changes are actually reflected in our brains. That's incredible.
It really is remarkable. And it speaks to the incredible power of our minds to shape our reality.
You know, listening to all of this, I can't help but think about, like, how we treat ourselves in those moments when our thoughts are feeling particularly chaotic. It's like Moulton is inviting us to extend the same kind of compassion and understanding to ourselves that we would offer to a frightened child, not to condone the behavior, but to see the need underneath.
That's such an important point. And it brings us to a crucial question. If our thoughts are like those orphans Moulton describes, all seeking love and acceptance, what does it actually look like to create that kind of compassionate inner environment in our daily lives?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
And I'm guessing there's like no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right.
But I feel like Moulton's given us some pretty solid clues. Where do we even begin to create that compassionate inner environment?
You're right. There's no magic formula, but Moulton points us towards awareness as a starting point.
Okay.
The more we can, simply observe our thoughts without immediately jumping in to judge them,
Right.
the more space we create for that inner shift to happen.
So it's like we're practicing becoming like curious observers of our own minds
Yeah.
rather than getting completely swept away by every thought that pops up.
Exactly. It's like we're stepping back from the train of thought and just watching it go by without feeling like we need to, hop on board and let it take us wherever it's going.
And that's where practices like mindfulness and meditation can be so helpful.
Yeah.
Right? They train us to flex that observing muscle without getting so entangled in our thoughts and feelings.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating is that with practice, those neural pathways in our brains that are associated with self-compassion and self-awareness, they actually start to strengthen. It's like we're literally rewiring our brains for more peace.
When you explain it like that, it doesn't seem quite so out there.
Yeah.
It's like building any new habit, right? It takes time, patience, and consistency to shift from that old habit of self-criticism to a more compassionate approach.
And the more you practice, the easier it gets. It's not about achieving some kind of, perfect state of constant bliss, but about creating more moments of peace and presence in your everyday life.
It's been such an eye-opening conversation. Moulton's approach, might not resonate with everyone,
Right.
but it offers such a refreshing perspective on how we can, cultivate more inner peace. It's not about silencing those negative thoughts altogether,
Right.
but about transforming our relationship with them. It's about
Yeah.
recognizing that our thoughts don't have to control us.
It's about reclaiming our power, recognizing that we are not our thoughts and we don't have to be at war with ourselves.
It makes you wonder, like, if we could all embrace even a little bit of that radical self-acceptance, how would that ripple out into the world around us?
Now, that's a thought worth pondering.
It certainly is. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's given me a lot to think about, and I hope it's done the same for you. Until next time, remember to be kind to your mind. You deserve it.